Elevate, when I got here, operated very similarly to when I was a student and to as it operates now.
I started serving for Elevate this year. It's been such a blessing for me. What I like most about serving in Elevate is seeing the engagement in the congregation and just seeing everyone have a pure heart for worship. It's very encouraging to see how people are so ready to worship whenever they come to Elevate, and they're expectant for God to move. What I hope for the future of Elevate is that the heart of worship continues to grow like it has been over the past few years that Seth has been here.
I have been attending Elevate since maybe the third week of the first semester, so last semester. I enjoy the fact that we have the ability to have community with other Christians that live amongst us. I believe that Elevate has helped me in my walk with Christ, and it's helped grow my faith by making me more hungry, because it's on a Thursday, which is fairly close to Sunday, which is the days that we go to church, and it just gives me the enthusiasm to go to church and to experience it, not just with people of my age group and that I will eventually see every day, but to experience it with a local church and with people that may be younger than me, that may be older than me, that happen to be the same age as me, and we may not go to the same school or experience the same day-to-day things, but it just helps me to look forward to Sunday and to be intentional about walking through life as if I know the Lord, because people will see me walking there. So I think that it just helps me be more intentional about how I live my life every day, specifically on Sundays.
Elevate as a gathering has done a lot for me since 2015. It wasn't necessarily at Elevate, it was at the movement in 2015 in Lightsea Chapel, where I stopped running from the Lord. 3 weeks later, it was at an Elevate where I submitted to a call to ministry. It was that same semester at Elevate that I realized that I had a lot of unforgiveness in my heart towards a lot of family members, that the Lord led me to ask for forgiveness for harboring that bitterness, and then actually reach out and ask them for forgiveness and tell them that I forgave them for what they've done. It was the same year as a freshman at that Elevate that I became best friends with guys that I'm still best friends with in the ministry. It was the next year at Elevate where I felt God give me a sense of peace when trying to discern my pastoral calling, if it was going to be in missions or if it was going to be in the context of a local church. It was my junior year at Elevate where I was on my knees as John Davis and some of my friends were praying over me after I was going through a terrible season of life. And it was in that same chapel at an Elevate where I asked the Lord if I should marry the woman that I'm married to now. 2 weeks ago, I announced that I was leaving my role as campus minister here at Charleston Southern University. It was a very bittersweet decision for us to make. We love Charleston Southern. We bleed blue and gold. My son refers to this not as my place of work, but Bucky's house. We love Charleston Southern very much. However, probably for the better half of a year, we've just sort of really felt just a heavy sadness, an unexplained sadness. And when we began to pray through it, reluctantly I asked of the Lord if maybe my time at CSU was coming to an end, maybe before I thought it actually would. And so in praying that this last summer in July, I asked of the Lord, I said, I don't want to be the director of your work here at CSU, I just want to be a part of it. And I think that the answer to that came a couple of months ago when I was approached by a Christian camp in Manchester, Maryland. I never thought I would really leave Charleston Southern. I really wanted to stay here for the entirety of my career. However, I believe the Lord had different plans. My sole prayer for Elevate, and I would say campus ministries as a whole, is that the students would continue to love expositional preaching, that they would continue to want to grow closer to Christ, that they would not simply just be okay with a ministry that's filled with events and gatherings for the sake of gathering, but rather gathering with the expressed intention of wanting to get closer to Christ to understand that God gathers us to edify us, for us to glorify Him, and for us to evangelize to the world. And so my prayer is that students would be mobilized to want to go on mission and want to gather for the express desire to want to hear God's word and learn God's word, but also to be able to go to the nations. And so I pray that as Elevate grows, that people would continue to preach through God's word, and that it would not just be a gathering for the sake of gathering, but it would be an intentional gathering for the sake of growing together to get people into the local church, and that they would leave CSU more impacted by not just having a good Christian community here, but wanting to actually leave this place and get involved in the local body, that they would know that this is just the tip of the iceberg in their walk with Christ.